If you're a creator with a community, Patreon could be your answer for turning that community into a way to fund your work on a monthly basis. Hey guys, I'm Leela Cosgrove from Strategic Anarchy, and as a creator and a marketer, I wanted to introduce you guys to Patreon. I was first introduced to this website by punk rocker, musician extraordinaire, TED speaker, and author Amanda Palmer. She put up a Patreon, and I got really excited. I backed her, and then I got really excited about what was possible with Patreon. Let me explain a little bit to you about what Patreon actually is. So Patreon is a way for creators to tap into their community and get them to hand over money on not just a monthly basis. You do have a choice. Monthly is one option. The other option is per thing, is what they call it. So per thing. So you can either set up when people pledge to have them pledge for you on a monthly basis. They can give you money every month. Or the other option is for these people to pledge on a per thing basis. So if you don't feel like you're going to actually put something out every single month, then you can have people pledge for you on a per thing basis, which is exactly what you can see Amanda's done here. She has 4,758 patrons, paying her $31,541.65 per thing. So every time she releases a thing, our cards get dinged for whatever amount we have chosen to pledge for. So you can see that becomes quite exciting. Obviously, Amanda has a really large database and a large following, and has had through her time with the Dresden Dolls, through her solo career, and then writing the book and having the TED Talk. You might not have quite as large a database as her, but that doesn't mean that this isn't going to work for you. So let's have a bit of a look about exactly how it does work. Like I said, it's on a per thing or per month basis. I think per thing is a great way to do it, because I think that way people feel like they're actually paying for something specifically to be created. Now, that said, the roots of this go back to the days of the Renaissance and patrons. And I've got to say, one of the things that really attracted me to it in the first place is this idea of being able to be a Renaissance person and be a patron of the arts. So I must tell you, it's something, a conversation I've had with quite a few people. They're like, oh, I've got to put a thing out, yeah? Otherwise, what am I taking people's money for? And I'm like, well, I think you want to think about, back in the day, patrons didn't just pay for the artwork, yeah? So like Da Vinci's patrons didn't just pay for his artwork. They paid for his living expenses. The point was to support him while he created art. And that's what I find so exciting about this. It's like, I am happy for Amanda Palmer to take my money and use it to eat. Same as I also support Clementine Ford, who is, I call her my favorite misandrist. She's a feminist writer, and she's just recently put out a Patreon to support her podcast. So you can see she's got 144 patrons. And at $1,327.50 per month. So you can see, even if you don't have as big an audience as Amanda Palmer, it's still something that can be really worth doing. That's $1,300 a month. So that's what? Just over $13,000, like $15,000 a year, to support Clem to create something that her patrons can jump in and be like, and fan base can jump in and be like, yeah, that's something I really love what you do, and I just want to give you money. It doesn't have to be huge amounts of money. Most of the Patreons you'll find have amounts as small as, let me come down here, pledge $1 or more per month, and you can see that's where she's got 37 patrons, $5, 38. She put these in later. I'm one of the ones at 50, but I supported a bit more than that, but I'm like over 100. So you can see like there's all these different levels. It's kind of like crowdfunding. If you think about crowdfunding, it's similar to crowdfunding, but it's monthly. So I think you'll find, if you've played with crowdfunding at all, one of the big problems with crowdfunding can be that your first crowdfunding campaign can be quite exciting and your community jumps behind you, but going out to them with different ideas and coming up with the right thing and that whole message to market match and making that work on a regular basis. I mean, how often can you crowdfund? It's probably difficult to do more than, say, once a year and get any real success doing it. Amanda Palmer had one of the most successful music crowdfunding campaigns of all time. She's one of the first musicians to go over $1 million in her crowdfunding campaign. And now she's switched to this model because it allows you to get that ongoing income. I mean, for Amanda, we're talking about almost $400,000 a year in recurring income. For Clem, $15,000 to be able to create these things that she wants to create. So why does it work? Why is it that this is something that people want? Look, like I said at the beginning, it really comes down to your community. If you have a community, odds are you have fans who would love to throw money at you. I can think of about 4 or 5 bands right now who, if they threw up a Patreon, I would put a couple of $100 behind them. And I'm sure a lot of their other fans would too. And like I said, not just for the creation of music, but also for their living expenses, to know that I'm being a supporter of somebody who I adore. That's how I feel about Amanda. Like I said, I don't care if she spends that money on food. Great. I feel so happy to be able to support and give back to somebody whose art I appreciate. That is something that really, really excites me. So it works because you have that community behind you who adore you, who want to be part of what you create. And that's really what something like Patreon allows you to do. It's definitely what crowdfunding does. And Patreon allows us to do that in a really ongoing way. It allows us to be supporters and involved with the creation of the art. Important point to note, when you become a patron, just like the old Renaissance, oldie-timey Renaissance patrons, I don't get exclusive access to the artwork. So when Amanda or Clem create something, it goes out to the public. So I'm not paying for ownership. Yeah, I don't get it and nobody else gets it unless they paid for the thing, which is where it can be a little bit different to crowdfunding. Yeah, with crowdfunding, it tends to be you get the perks are you get the thing that's created. The point of being a patron is to help creators get their work out to the public in whatever way they deem fit. With Amanda, for free. She puts all of her music out for free. So it's not about exclusivity. It's about being part of the creation process and supporting the creation process. Again, I think Amanda's a great example of this, because what's actually happened with her things is her community have gotten really involved in helping her decide what the thing should be. One of her things that she created a couple of months ago, this one here, the Dresden Dolls live webcast, that was the second thing that came out. That was actually the patrons who decided that that should be the case. So she was doing a gig, a one-off sort of Dresden Dolls reunion gig, and for Record Store Day. And a whole bunch of us obviously couldn't be there. It was in New York and we couldn't be there. And somebody said, hey, what if this was a thing? Could you webcast it? Could that be a thing? And with like 24 hours, she pulled it all together. With knowing that she had $31,000 at her disposal, she pulled it all together and did a live webcast. I was in Vegas at the time and I watched it in my hotel room in Vegas. So the community has really started to get involved in terms of like, hey, could we have this thing as a thing? We'd be happy to pay for that. We'd be happy for you to ding our cards. In my case, $1,000. In other people's cases, $1, $2, $3. You know, we would be really happy for you to do that if you'd like to put that together as a thing. You can see here that there's all kinds of different categories. It really is an art site. It really is for artists. So we've got video and film, music, writing, comics, drawing and painting, animation, podcasts, games, photos, comedy, science, education, crafts and DIY, dance and theatre. It's something I would be interested in playing with in terms of, I really think it could be done by anybody who is a creator with a community. I don't think you just have to be like super artistic, like a musician or a writer or a painter. I suspect that if you have a community and you do wonderful creative work, that those people who adore you will want to become a part of that. So what really works with crowdfunding, if you have that community behind you, the number one perk that really gets people to buy in my experience, is access. I know I recently backed Everclear in their crowdfunding campaign. And yes, I would have backed them either way, but I backed at the level I did, which was like almost $2,000, because one of the perks was actually getting to go with the lead singer and get tattooed. Yeah, so I got to like meet one of my childhood heroes, and that was a really big deal for me. You guys have probably seen photos on my Facebook of like me going and getting the tattoo and hanging out at the gig. And that was really exciting for me because that was obviously someone I really like. and a community that I really wanted to be part of, and a creator that I really engage with and have done since I was 16. So that was a very exciting moment for me. But that's the kind of thing you want to create. Yes, people want access to things, absolutely. They want access to the music, they want access to the books, to the education, whatever it is you're doing. But do not underestimate how much your community want access to you, how much they want to be part of what you're doing, part of your creation process. The reason they're part of your community is because they adore you. And I think being really smart about the fact that having that creative level of allowing people to have that access to you will make all of the difference in terms of whether it's an ongoing crowdfunding like Patreon or whether it's a one-off crowdfunding campaign. Access is so key, and I think a lot of people miss this, especially creators, because we have a tendency to place the importance on our creations. We're like, oh, the creation, the work, that's really our thing. It's all about the work. And yes, the work is what brings people in, but what keeps them there is you and their love of you as the creator. So do not underestimate. I wouldn't do it at the low levels. At the low level, sure, give them some things. But if you want to put in place a $500 level, a $1,000 level, then you want to be looking at how can you reward these guys with access? Can you put a dinner on? Can you run an event? Can you call them up and just say, hey, thank you? That kind of access will normally get people really super excited, and that's really what they buy in for. Just like in the old days, the patron of the arts bought in for a very similar reason. Yeah, they wanted to be known as the person. Sure, it's a little bit of ego. They wanted. That's when Amanda first set up her Patreon. I said, "This is awesome. I'm signing up for this because when people ask me what I do, I want to be." Or like, well, I'm Amanda fucking Palmer's patron, bitch. It's what I do for a living. So that to me is like really cool. I love being able to support people I love. I wish more artists would sign up for this. I'm going to bully a few people I know, I think, into doing it because I want to be able to support artists. I want to be able to support creators. It's something that really excites me as a creator who is moneyed to be able to do those things and support up-and-coming people who I adore or established people who I adore. It makes no difference to me. Either way, everyone's got to eat. Everyone and creators have so much emphasis on the work that sometimes they forget about the needing to eat part. So this is Patreon. I absolutely recommend if you are an artist, if you are a musician, if you are a creator, and creators for me include, like I said, Clementine Ford, who I back, is, I'd call her a feminist thought leader. She's a philosopher. So if you're a philosopher, an ideas generator, a writer, a drawer, whether your art is visual, whether it is auditory, whether it is idea-based, Patreon could be a really great way for you to rally your community together and get that ongoing recurring income. Don't we all love reoccurring income? Knowing every month before we do anything else that there's $1,500 or $15,000 hitting our bank account makes such a huge difference in our ability to be free to focus on our creations instead of getting all caught up in just hustling to make money and day jobs and or selling things or whatever it is that we need to do to make ends meet. So Patreon, worth looking at. If you have a community, go set it up. It's pretty straightforward. And let me know how you go. I would love to hear about your success stories. Do feel free to post links to your Patreon in the comments section and let us all come over and check you out and support you. And do keep me updated on how you go with it. I would love to know more about how people are using this and the creative ideas that you've come up with. Very exciting, guys. Get on it.